And we are back, and we just finished watching 1991's masterpiece, The Fisher King. Rated R with a runtime of 2 hours and 17 minutes. This is playing on certain platforms, but we caught this on the TCM app. It is by director Terry Gilliam with writing credits to Richard LaGravenese. I'm sorry if I said that incorrectly. And is the story of how Jack Lucas, played by Jeff Bridges, suddenly has a huge fall from grace and is trying to get his life back together, although it doesn't seem like he's doing a good job of it, or maybe he's not even trying. And he encounters Parry, played by the always lovable and always missed Robin Williams, and how with Parry in his life, Jack actually gets his shit together.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, there's more to this story, but I guess as a kind of a brief introduction. This is the kids' first time seeing it, so I'm going to go to them first and see what their thoughts are. Olive G, what'd you think of the film? You said you liked it, right? Why'd you like it?
I thought the movie was good. No, it was okay. No, that was about it. I just thought the movie was good. It was interesting, and it was good.
You liked the story? You liked the characters? Did you like Jack?
Hell no.
At the end, did you still dislike Jack?
I mean, he was a little less annoying, but still.
Okay, so he grew during the course of the story, right?
He had a little bit of character development.
He did. I would say he had a big arc.
He had a major turnaround.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was still a jerk.
He was, but by the end, he sort of put the pieces in place to be a better human being.
It's funny. It's like the jerk side of Jack really was trying to hold on
for a long time.
He really wanted to go back to that.
He did.
Like as soon as he felt, oh, I did it.
Yeah.
It's time for the old Jack to come back.
Right.
And that's through the experiences that he had. I don't think it was possible for that old Jack to remain.
Come back. Right. Yeah. Agreed.
And like a certain sort of catalyst almost opens his eyes to that towards the end, like right at the end.
Right.
When he like tries to be the old Jack, but he just can't.
Right. Yes. Agreed. Did you have a favorite character in the film, Olive G?
I'd say like Jack's girlfriend, Anne.
She was great. What did you like about her?
She was cool, and she always like helped Jack, even though he's a complete bastard.
She was one of those women that definitely sacrificed herself a lot for her partner.
Yeah, he didn't deserve her.
He absolutely did not deserve her. Absolutely.
Played by Mercedes Rule.
Brilliantly played by Mercedes Rule, who also won an Oscar that year for a supporting actress.
You don't see her much anymore.
I mean, I think she's still in stuff, but I don't think... I mean, I think she does a lot of theater and a lot of like supporting roles. You know how Hollywood isn't kind to older women, so...
Yeah, I guess.
She's probably playing mothers and grandmothers at this point. All right, Gigi, what'd you think of the film?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, what'd you like about it?
I like the story.
Mm-hmm.
What about the story did you like?
I thought it was good. I liked when they're cloud busting. And
what,
then
at the very end? Or
no,
the
first time and Parry tells him the story. I think that's where he tells him about the Fisher King.
Fisher King, yeah.
And that's just like the movie.
Yeah. What did you think of Jack at the beginning of the film, and what did you think of Jack at the end of the film?
Annoying.
Still, he didn't redeem himself in your eyes.
I have to admit that yes, objectively had character growth or whatever, but I didn't like him. Mm-hmm. That's not gonna change.
All right, fair. I guess once bitten, twice shy. What did you think of Lydia's character?
At the beginning, I didn't really care for her. She was kind of rude, to be honest.
Was she rude, or was she just socially awkward?
She was probably just socially awkward, but I just didn't like the way she acted.
Yeah, because even Anne says like that she could be a bitch, but I don't think it was that she could be a bitch. I think it's just that she was very weird. She didn't know how to navigate
Parry
certain
said she didn't have
things.
Like any friends, so she probably didn't know what to do.
Yeah, that was a great scene when she
when he's professing his love.
Yeah, I love that scene. What did you think about Parry?
I thought that he was a nice character.
Yeah. Knowing what you know about his tragedy, about the tragedy in Parry's life, did it make sense that he was the way he was?
Yeah.
And what do you think that the Red Knights represented?
The guy who killed his wife.
Fair. Did I ask you about Anne? I did not, right? What did you think of Anne?
I liked Anne.
What did you think of, so I think when she won the Oscar, they played that scene where she's kind of giving him, like he's trying to break up with her and she's giving him the business. And she says, he's trying to comfort her and she pulls away and she says, you don't get to be the good guy. What do you think of that? Or the nice guy? I forgot what she said, but
You don't get to be nice.
you don't get to be nice. What do you think of that?
I thought that it was well done. I also understood what she was like saying.
Yeah.
I don't know like why he even tried, because he was just like a jerk like the entire movie. I don't know why when he was breaking up with her, all of a sudden he wanted to be all nice. I guess he didn't want to feel bad about himself.
Right. He was trying to make a clean break. It's
Yeah.
kind of interesting because here's this woman who is probably better than what he deserves.
Very much so.
Like even when Parry's over their house eating their dinner and staring at Anne's boobs, he even says like, I can't believe that some guy hasn't snapped you up.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because here's this woman who does all these things for this man and he's basically oblivious. But it wasn't until his relationship with Parry that he actually has growth.
I think that's what starts it off for him.
Right.
But it's funny the scene you're talking about with G, where you don't get to be nice. One of Jack's major issues was he never wanted to be the bad guy, and through his actions he was the bad guy. What he did caused something incredibly terrible to happen.
Right.
And there was no way out of that. He was the bad guy in that situation. He was the cause of it. And when he starts hanging out with Parry and he realizes, or he understands that Parry is basically the result of what he has done.
Right. His actions.
And then he starts realizing, this is my way out. This is my way of making up. This is my way of no longer being the bad guy.
Right.
And then when he thinks he's succeeded and he's no longer the bad guy, he's just like, all right,
I can go back to being Jack.
I can go back to being Jack. And that means I gotta go my own way. I don't need Anne anymore. And when he's trying to break up with her, he's trying to break up with her where he is not the bad guy in it.
Right.
He's still searching for that or needing that. He needs to be the good guy in his story. And he's just not.
What do you think about
everything is just for selfish
absolutely
absolute selfish means? And like I was telling G, that's where the correlation with the story of the Fisher King came, because the king, he wanted that. He wanted the Holy Grail because the power, the glory. It was never for the benefit of anybody else. It's just him.
Right.
And that's why he could never have it.
And the funny thing was, it was there all along.
Yeah.
What did you think about the scene where he sort of has an epiphany while he's being pitched this home free show? Oh my gosh. I was sitting there cringing.
I think that's, I mentioned to you earlier that was that combined with seeing, I forgot,
Michael Jeter's character.
Yeah,
right.
seeing that character, especially that.
Right.
That set that off, and then he gets
It felt like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
and then he gets pitched that ridiculous,
Nonsense.
they're having grades, they want to be homeless. They want the adventure.
They like being
They
homeless.
like being homeless. It's a take on the homeless that's not depressing. That's what the guy pitching
He's like,
on.
we want to put homelessness on TV in an upbeat way.
Yeah. And you could see that Jack is just like,
What the hell?
yeah, but he's extremely triggered by this whole thing because he's
been
seen
touched by
it.
these
He's been
people.
touched by it. He knows it. And old Jack, the Jack that he wishes that he can go back to being, that he was trying to go back to being with his slick back hair and his fancy clothes and his sunglasses and his cool attitude.
He's not that
can't.
anymore,
He
yeah.
can't do it anymore. That character, that person can't exist anymore.
Right.
Because of the experience that he had and the experience that he's still going through because of the situation Parry's in at that moment.
Right.
Yeah, that pretty much, I think when he's in there and you see him, he's like, it's almost like he's shaking.
Yeah, yeah.
I think at that point he realizes that, that part of me is
gone.
It no longer exists, and he had to get the hell out of there.
Yeah. Olive G, what did you think about the scene, I guess, at the end when he goes to see Anne? Do you think he groveled enough, first of all?
No, I'm not. Like, he didn't even say anything.
Yeah,
like,
she should have made him run through hoops.
She was very forgiving.
She was a very excellent, forgiving woman, more than he deserved. Yeah. Even in that instance, right? Yeah. She could have really read him to filth. And she doesn't, because she loves him.
Yeah.
And it took him a long time to say that to her.
Mm-hmm. And you could see it pains him to say it then.
Yeah, yeah.
He's of that I guess that generation or that age where it's just men don't say stuff like that.
Right. Gee, do you think that after the beating that Parry got, and he's, I guess, in this coma, catatonic state or whatever. Yeah, he's in a catatonic state. Do you think that Parry can now recover after... Actually, you know what? Scrap all that. Now I just remember the thing that I wanted to say.
I will hurry up.
Gee, question for you. When your father was just talking about the scene where Jack sort of is fighting against himself because part of him wants to return to life the way it used to be, but he was a jerk. And I think inwardly he understands that. And I think a great example of that is the scene where Parry's in the hospital in his catatonic state and Jack comes and he's yelling how he doesn't owe him anything, that he's done all these other nice things for him and that the debt is paid. However, Jack still goes on to fulfill Parry's quest. There is part of the argument is that Jack doesn't owe Parry anything and he's not responsible for him. What do you think of that statement? Do you think that because Parry saved Jack in a previous scene, does Jack still owe Parry?
I mean,
just whatever you think. The reason I ask a question is because there's a proverb or an old saying how once you save a life, you're always responsible for it. So Parry saved Jack, and then Jack felt like he needed to kind of pay that debt. So he gave him money. He helped him get cleaned up so he could ask Lydia out. He facilitated the whole meeting between the two. So he was doing all these things, right, to help Parry out of, I guess, a sense of obligation. But
he wasn't. The sense of obligation didn't come from Parry helping Jack that one night. Mm-hmm. The sense of obligation came from Jack realizing what he had done to Parry.
Yes, that's compounded by the fact that he finds out that, yes, that he's ultimately responsible for how Parry's life has spiraled out of control.
I mean, he even says it like several times.
Yeah.
So I don't think the fact that Parry helped Jack out of trouble when those thugs came, well, that was like nothing. Mm-hmm. The real thing, the real reason why Jack needed to help Parry was, like I said, because
what happened
it vindicate him. It would absolve him of the sin that he carries. Like, of all things, especially in the beginning, the one thing you see that really seems to affect this guy was when he sees that on the news. Mm-hmm. And it's not like the expression that I got from seeing his, or the feeling that I got when you see the expression on his face when that newscaster says what they say, isn't, oh crap, my career's over.
No, it's
genuine horror at, oh my God, what have I done?
Right.
So that's why he's so invested in helping Parry.
Okay. So with that in mind, G, do you think that the debt to Parry is ultimately paid?
I guess.
Because why?
Because he helps him get his life back in order after he ruined it.
In many ways, right? He helped him. He tries to help him with money, but that's so it's sort of superficial because you could throw money at something.
Superficial.
Yeah, but it doesn't really fix an issue, right? And then he tries a little harder when he finds out that Parry likes Lydia. Mm-hmm. And that seemed very genuine. And even Anne says to him, you should be very proud of yourself. You helped somebody. Like, he genuinely helped somebody without expecting anything in return. It was very selfless of Jack, because I think up to that point, Jack was always about himself.
One thing. He did expect something in return. He expected to feel good. Helping Parry, that was his way of making up for it. He was still searching for, he was still expecting something back. Mm-hmm. And he got it. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the real thing. The real thing is when he's
yelling
at him.
And he's like, I'm doing this because I want to.
Right. Because there's no guarantee that Parry's ever going to wake up.
Right.
It's not like as though, if I give this to you, you better wake up. No. Right. He's just doing it. He could have left him in that bed forever.
Yeah.
But he's like, I'm doing this. I'm doing this for me. Or I'm doing this
because I want to do this for you.
Because I want to do this.
Yeah.
That was the thing. There was seriously, he had nothing to gain from what was going on. In fact, he had everything to lose because he was just getting his career back. Yeah. And the worst thing you could possibly do at that point is break and enter a billionaire's house trying to steal a trophy for a homeless man.
Right. But that was sort of like a double whammy, right, G? Because he goes to do this nice thing for Parry that ultimately also helps the billionaire, because the billionaire, I guess, was going through his own troubles.
I mean, it technically doesn't help the guy because he wanted to.
No, it was accidental. Remember on the newspaper?
I don't think that was accidental.
It said accidental suicide is stopped by a night prowler.
Maybe. I mean, it might have been. It might not have been. We'll never know. But in that moment, I guess the billionaire felt really sad and whatever, and he does whatever he does. But he's also been given a second opportunity in a way, right?
Yeah.
And it looks like he lives in that big house all by himself.
Yeah. There wasn't anybody else.
There wasn't anyone else around. Yeah. Not a dog, not a plant, not a housekeeper, nothing. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that guy's going through his own issues, but here Jack does something nice for Parry, but ultimately it has ripple effects, right? Because if the billionaire is dead, then I guess his company goes under, because who's there to make the money to keep the company going? All these people lose their jobs. So I guess it's kind of like a tenfold situation, right?
Yeah. I mean, little actions have big ripples.
Mm-hmm. So knowing that, G, do you still feel like, I mean, I'm sure you could still feel that Jack's a jerk, but does this also help alleviate some of the jerkiness?
I guess.
Okay. What about you? You've seen this a million times. Well, maybe not a million, but
I think I've seen it 3 times, maybe.
What do you think? From your first viewing to now, what do you think?
No, I still like this movie. I think I liked it back when I first saw it more. The beginning is a bit crazy, like a bit, I don't know, maybe too Robin Williams-y. Yeah, they definitely were like, just go nuts.
Yeah,
and he was doing his thing. The whole film, a great story. I like the way you have the analogy with the story of the Fisher King. It's interesting to think like how they both, Jack and Parry, are
broken.
The Fisher King character.
Yes.
Because they're both looking for something. Mm-hmm. And they're kind of both on that quest, and they both eventually find it. Mm-hmm. Parry eventually is able to say when he wakes up,
what was it? I miss her. Is it okay to miss her?
Is it okay to miss her now?
Yeah.
So I guess that's what his issue was. He was.
Well, I think he blocked it, right? Because it seemed in those moments where he was thinking about it, he was trying desperately not to see.
Well, he did. Yeah, he didn't. He did not want to remember at all the person that he was. I mean, he's changed his name. He completely blotted out that he wrote the paper about or he wrote an entire paper about the Fisher King, and he's telling, I think I heard that story from a professor or something.
Right.
It was him. And yeah, he can go back to, or not really back, but he can be a whole person now.
And he also has Lydia.
So yeah, I like this story. This is a good story. I like the way it was told. I like the way it looked. I've always liked the way Terry Gilliam directs movies. He definitely has an eye for the the fantastical
aesthetic.
and Time Bandits is one of my top 5 movies of all time. And of course, I love Monty Python.
But there's something super just lovely about this story. It's about broken people. I mean, without saying it, we're talking about mental illness. And I think it really shines a light on that. And it's kind of told in this very subtle, fantastical way. And the imagery used, it's kind of interesting because you mentioned Time Bandits. Terry Gilliam definitely has a thing about, I guess, medieval England and knights and stuff like that. It seems to be not in every picture that he does, but it's been a recurring theme in a lot of the things that he's done. And
he likes quests. I think he's very
the hero's journey, the hero learning something, the hero changing over time, maybe maturing, maybe coming into their own, or whatever the case may be. So I think that this definitely follows a pattern of Gilliam storytelling and just the fantastical aspects of it. And he definitely has a certain aesthetic and a certain style, which is at its peak here, I think. At its peak. Jeff Bridges does a phenomenal job of being sort of this smarmy jerk character who you just don't really like. But then you see this tremendous fall from grace. And it's interesting to see him pull himself up slowly, not alone, but with the help of others. And I think that having that debt to pay to Parry helps him to become ultimately the best Jack that he can be. I'm going to go around the table and get numbers. I'm going to start with me. I am going to give this film a 9. I think that from where it starts to where it ends, it's interesting. It's exciting. I never took my eyes off the screen. All the actors are lovely. Jeff Bridges does a great job. Robin Williams, it hurts my heart every time I see him now. But he's just phenomenal in this. Mercedes Ruehl, that scene where she says, "You don't get to be nice." It kills me every time because we all know that feeling. Or most of us know that feeling. Amanda Plummer as the very awkward Lydia. The scene where, like G mentioned before, where Parry is declaring his love for her is just stunning. It's kind of interesting in like 3 minutes of dialogue how much you learn about this character, about both characters, and how Parry really sees Lydia. Here she's been going through life in a fog. She feels inadequate, out of place, stepped on, discarded. But here's someone that truly sees her. What a gift, right? What a gift to be loved like that. Yeah, I think Terry Gilliam is in his like finest here. Just all around, the production values are great. It's great to see old New York in 91. Just lovely storytelling, and then the undercurrents of the stories as well that really translate. And you could tell this story in 91. You can tell this story in 2091, and it'll still be a great story. So it gets a 9 from me. What are you going to give it? 1 to 10?
I'd give it an 8.
An 8. Okay.
I enjoyed it.
Did you, as you've watched it over the years, is the impact of the story, does it lessen for you, or what's the story?
Maybe a little. Maybe I mean, it felt a bit long to me this time around.
Is it because of the Patty Jenkins intro?
No. I just maybe my attention span isn't what it used to be, but it definitely felt a bit longer than usual. It felt almost like the direction, like I noticed a bigger difference in the beginning, the way it was directed in the beginning than it was directed for the rest of the movie. So the beginning was something more like young me would have been like really into. But older me, I'm just like, it's a bit much. So yeah, that probably, younger me probably would have given this a 9. But,
Okay, fair enough.
Older me's giving it an 8.
All right.
It's still great. It's a great movie.
Okay. You would recommend it?
Yes, absolutely. It's a great story. I love the way they patterned it after this myth, and just how you could see it in both characters, both the main leads. Yeah, and I wonder if you could even see it in the other characters too, if you really looked hard enough. But
interesting. Gigi, 1 to 10, what would you give this film?
I'll also give it an 8.
8. What about you, Olive G?
8.5.
8.5. So 8, 8.5, 9, and 8. All right. I think this is definitely something to watch. So if you can, it's currently streaming on the TCM app for a limited time. I think it's going off soon, but definitely check it out. And that's it from us, and we're going to bid you all a
Good night.
Good night.
good night.